My name is Daniel Perez, and today we're going to be going over my unit project on advancing emergency management leadership, preparedness, and interagency coordination. So, first and foremost, it is an honor to become the new director of the State Emergency Department Agency. Having worked in the fire service for over 15 years and being a retired fire chief for two departments, I am gained an honor of extending expertship in coordinating and management mid-size of large-scale operations in emergency settings. In addition to my professional achievements and experience, my involvement in public safety operations has improved my knowledge and skills related to emergency management and crisis leadership, coordination, transparency, and mutual trust, right? That are fundamental components of effective emergency programs and crucial for people's safety. So it is my privilege to become the new director, and I am really humble to assist in medium to large scale emergency efforts and to collaborate with public and private sectors. Such as you all, we're talking over 200 people here, and it is my honor to be the leader of this operations. I think integrated leadership and coordination can go a long way, and with communication makes the team work a lot better. Team roles and dynamics, everyone stays to their lane, and we effectively achieve the common goal, which is providing the three major concepts of emergency operations when it comes to management, which is life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. So when we talk about the vision to enhance operations, right, this is obviously having a clear vision that helps develop a well-coordinated, successful program. Without coordination, without communication, the plan goes haywire. We want to first aim to establish a solid, high, effective emergency response program focused on preparedness, response, recovery, mitigation activities, and then raising public awareness and preventive and preparatory steps in order to have effective priority that needs to be fulfilled when it comes to the community outreach and communication. Improving interdepartmental coordination within in-house, right? So internal communication to make sure that everyone is well coordinated on the response that's provided to the incident and everyone knows their role, right? Improving planning and effective resource management will go a long way in contributing the improvement of readiness and resiliency for our emergency management system. So it is essential to have the vision at hand. My dream is to be able to have a good and long-term lasting operations zone. My vision is to have an increased awareness to carry preventive measurements in disaster management. I will work and improve overall preparedness and systems with my team and to make the common goal efforts a lot more smoother. Right? Going down to effectiveness in emergency management, this leads to a chain reaction of communication, as I keep emphasizing, right? It's an efficient and coordinated response, and it's must met to meet emergency operations. Every emergency has to be handled a certain way. Not every emergency is the same way, so we have to adapt and overcome. But this is set to accordingly to ensure accountability and decision making in particular. The incident commander cannot oversee 200 people, right? This goes down to the chain of command in NIMS, right? It is useful and managing and responding emergencies to any type of incident that's necessary. Evidence-based decisions have a guide of operations to determine the resources that might be allocated for a particular situation, whatever it is, whether it's natural or man-made, right? Conducting post-incident evaluations will allow us to also evaluate our strengths and weaknesses and how can we do better in the scenario, right? That can we able to address issues and learn from these issues and take it forward to the next incident so we don't make the same mistake again, right? Such improvement will be based on evidence, right? And it will make a response more effectively. So in all situations, ICS will be used and accordingly to make sure that everyone's on the same page. When it comes to specialized teams of disasters, right? Whether it's USAR, whether it's in-house operations, whether it's communities, people, like CERT teams, things like that. For example, special response teams are required for handling complicated emergencies. Cross training of our personnel will help us achieve greater unity and effectiveness, since all members will know how to operate in various functions. Everybody has their own knowledge to bring to the team, right? And as me as the leader, I want to have the best of the best out there to respond to our calls, right? To our situations. Structured collapse response teams can handle any incidents associated with structured collapse and rescue any individual who may be trapped in the sense of, being under debris, for example. Hazmat teams may be able to respond to hazardous materials incidents, including biological agents and environmental disasters. And of course, we talk about wildland firefighting. this converts into task forces that can assist in large-scale wildland fires. At the end of the day, we come out as a unity, and we want to learn from one another, because at the end of the day, we all have our common goal. And if we bring our own knowledge to the team, everyone can chip in and make the team stronger, right? We're only as strong as our weakest link. So when it comes to cross training, this builds more life scenario based decision making, and it can improve our members to be better efficiently for the next scenario, right? Cross training builds complex response teams, right? And of course, all complex systems benefit and make it more effectively in the long term. When it comes to EMS, emergency medical services, and the role in disasters, right? In a mass disaster environment, EMS is essential. We need EMS, right? They're the first providers in continuity of care to go to when we're entering into the hospital setting, right? They're the first line of contact. Their life-saving care will be given first priority within systems of triage, right? And more coordination with hospitals will become more beneficial in managing surge. So if a hospital is mobbed, it will be essential to be assisted to help out mobile medical units. So being EMS is being another essential partner with the framework of the disaster response process. These primary tasks are to be undertaken by the organization and relate to the delivery of life-saving care to patients, triage, and patient transport. Thus, in mass casualty incidents and situations, prompt evaluation and prioritizing of patients will be ensured, and they will result in proper allocation of available resources to improve patient management. At the end of the day, when it comes to NIMS, we're going to set this up in a strategic way of setting a triage team, a treatment team, and a transport team, right? Coordination is essential in EMS. Agencies, hospitals, and emergency management organizations have an important step in enhancing patient outcomes. Time is the essence at the end of the day. If facilities are overloaded, mobile medical units should be mobilized to assist in emergency needs. Therefore, whether it's public or private, we are joined together to achieve the common goal. And therefore, preparation for disasters and effective coordination between organizations with the EMS are important to ensuring good results and protecting citizens' health. When it comes down to private sector and community partnerships, right? Private or public, we have one common goal, as I keep saying. Private sector partnerships pave the way for additional resources, right? They are in need of our help, and vice versa. We are also helping them out. And in some cases, resiliency in the logistics supply chain is enabled for private businesses. At the end of the day, we can definitely run out of logistics. That's why private sectors are essential. And community partnerships, people are more empowered to come together as local groups and citizens to achieve the common goal in emergency outreach. The process of regaining from disaster is more easier to said than done, but we support one another, whether it's private or public, and the responsibility is essential in all involvement in all situations. So it is necessary to create good work relationships with private and public, as well as community-based organizations, helpers, volunteers that are willing to help, like the CERT team, for example. If they can help with evaluation, provision of goods, supplies, information, educational campaigns, this can achieve the common goal. So therefore, it is advised to create calibrated relationships which will allow in improving emergency management at the end of the day. With good morale and good team management, we can achieve the common goal. When you're working with the state and federal government, as your leader, you want to have effective management of disasters. There should be a good FEMA alignment with the state agencies. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to funding and technical assistance. Communication systems that do not require a break are made possibly in intermorality sequences. Public agencies such as effectiveness and changes in between the agencies, therefore coordination between agencies are essential, right? And then unified command is an efficient tool in improving the effectiveness of disaster response. When it comes to partnerships with other organizational agencies, we do a unity of command structure, thus can provide significant advantages for successful disaster management. It is important and imperative that we coordinate to various work stakeholders to ensure smooth operation between all agencies and in participating in the emergency setting. Besides federal entities, this will improve technical expertise, financial means, resources, and integrated communication solutions. And moreover, joint training exercises planning can facilitate relationships building and help agencies get better organized in the long run for future calls. We want to maintain continuity, we want to maintain good working relationships, and we want to maintain learning from our mistakes so we don't do those again. So when it comes to wildland firefighting is really common here in the nation. I can tell you firsthand, as a retired fire chief, I started my career in wildland firefighting, and when I tell you, it is a very hard, rigorous task. At the end of the day, the biggest thing is communication and tactics and how we handle the situation to make sure that no other structures get affected with the wildland. Its risk is on rise across the nation. Mutual aid agreements will help get resources sharing expertise. We want to have a standardized dispatch to embrace for improved control. Right, there is an increased threat in wildland firefighters and wildfires. With necessary appropriate measures taken in advance, it is recommended to conclude that mutual aid agreements and neighbor agencies must allow sharing of personnel, resources, and equipment. And then second, it is important to implement standardized procedures for dispatching agencies in case of an incident. We want to minimize radio traffic and make sure that we have the best, everybody's on the same page when it comes to radio traffic on the dispatch. And third, communication protocols and procedures need to be elaborately established to smooth interaction when it comes to unity of command between agencies. Continuous staffing training and repositioning equipment are essential for effective operations. And as your leader, this is what I will be pertaining into this concept as a future goal. When we're developing trust in communities, people need to trust in emergency response. And as stated, right, leaders can be trusted if they are transparent, right? Engaging in community events is communication links when the public is educated, brings awareness of level of preparation that comes up into play, right? Everyone is on the same page, right? We can't emphasize it enough. When there is a consistency to the message, the crisis communications, or moreover, the effectiveness, this brings into positive resolution towards the scenario. So building trust is one of the key factors in emergency management since it leads to increased cooperation between agencies. And being transparent, trustworthy, and consistent contributors. These are just your basic morals that you got to bring into positivity. Engaging community ensures the residents are involved and they are able to help out in the case of emergency response units, like bringing preparedness efforts. Having your PIO, your public information officer, providing public education plays an important role in increasing awareness and enforcing individual preparation for natural disasters. This is what we tend to do in the real world when we want to get prepared a week or 2 weeks in advance that there's a hurricane coming, for example, right? In this way, emergency management will be able to develop trusting relationships and promote openness to ensure greater community cooperation and resiliency. When taking care of responders, I can't emphasize it enough. As a leader, mental health is the biggest cooperative thing that we come into play after post-incident response systems. Services such as mental health programs will help support those that will need or that will be in need of it. The safety during operation will be enhanced. There will be a development of stress resilience, including in training, and the wellness of employees will be encouraged to seek help. This ensuring the safety of emergency responders is crucial in maintaining high-quality personnel. Our responses are our top priority after the post-incident analysis, right? So think about it, guys. Providing a healthcare service, peer counseling programs, and other resiliency and effectiveness in addressing emergencies is what I tend to do as your leader. It is also crucial to emphasize safety measures to prevent any injury or accident when it's occurring in the scene. In addition, training programs should involve stress reduction and resilience companionship. When it comes to equity and workforce diversity brings the team a lot better when it comes down to understanding everyone's culture. There should be a range of staff who will offer a sense of togetherness and understanding, thus reducing language barriers, right, by going through access through various translators. There will be a community partnership to help those in recruitment, and then in striving the equity of one way to enhance service delivery outcomes. Thus, use of language interpretation services is helpful for ensuring access information to be correctly given to those that are in need of it. And equity promotes inclusivity and equity to serving diverse community. When it comes to training and professional development, ongoing learning improves the preparedness of agencies. And when it comes to emergencies, thus cross-agency drills also are good to do. And this is what I tend to do is hence training to be the biggest factor when it comes down to be ready for the call at any given moment. Training exercises and drills are necessary for preparing employees for responding to incidents of emergencies. Thus, staff development investments have provided to be more effectively and beneficial for emergency management organizations. Since time is emotional and we don't know when it's going to happen, disaster events are increasing in frequency due to climate change, as we know. Emergency response is undergoing a change of technology. Thus, today there's a greater attention paid to infrastructure resiliency. So, however, in constant evolving due to the emergence of new hazards and advanced technologies, going to social media being an increased use as one of the major ways to contribute to information about emergencies should be conducted, and thus adjusting to new trends will bring positive results for emergency management.